I just had blood taken.
Oh, you had your physical?
No, I just
Preliminary?
yeah, I got this really nice woman came by and took my blood at 5 o'clock in the morning. Otherwise, I would have had a fast all day.
That's nice.
Oh, my
that is
goodness.
Good.
She came before you came to work?
Yeah, no, she came to work here.
Oh, my goodness.
I gave her like a hug. I was like so grateful because otherwise you got to fast all day. And
Yeah, I've done that before. Fasted during the show because I was
Yeah.
going to get blood work afterwards.
no, this is the woman. I could turn you on to her. She comes over with a little kit, does the whole thing. What's that noise?
That's my printer.
I hate your printer. This is a
The printers,
professional-
1966.
Rob Close of the printers.
This is a professional broadcast operation.
You know how many times I've had to cancel doctor's appointments because I blew a fast?
I believe that.
I don't think it's
That's
possible to fast.
highly plausible.
Oh, yeah, like 4 times. I had to call, like, listen, I fucked up. I had a slice.
You know, I'm really healthy, and I'm also like paranoid. And I go, "Wow, what if the woman hates me and she gives me a dirty needle and she kills me?" And,
No.
I mean, I have all these weird thoughts of
You know
people
what?
doing
That
horrible
is
things
the
to me.
last thought I'd have.
Oh my
Because
god!
they open everything in front of you.
Right.
It's all
Brand new
sterilized.
I was
stuff.
trying to watch, and I didn't see. You know, I am so filled with ugly thoughts. I can't even tell you what. I don't know what happened to me psychologically, and I've been spending the last 9 years trying to figure it out. But my immediate reaction is someone's going to come in and give me a dirty needle and give me HIV and kill me. And it's like, and then I have to sit and go, well, why would they want to do that? What did I do? And then I'm on trial. And then I'm.
How could you seriously wonder where that comes from when all those tragic stories your
Is
parents
that what it is? I
Well,
see the world as a horrible, scary place where people do horrible
And
things.
bad
no
stuff
wonder
happens
with-
to you and your family.
I
you
know because my mother used to say. See, I got into that in third. My mother used to say one of my philosophies as a mother is that I want my children to be fearless. And then meanwhile, but what my mom would do is she'd sit me down and go, "Your grandma Rose, her whole family was wiped out
Oh,
by the
everybody was
Nazis."
dying back then.
Right.
Well,
what-
listen to this. This was my day. Honestly, a day didn't go by where this was the lineup. I swear to God, I'm not
lineup.
kidding. So this is why
It
I
was
think.
like the greatest
This
hits.
is your Penguins.
But this is like I want to think I wasn't scared by all this, but I think
Oh,
this has
dude.
shaped my view of the world.
Absolutely.
Because like this is from the time I was a little child. Your grandma Rose, her whole family was wiped out. The Nazis came, they killed her brother. She had a family of 9. Her parents, everyone. She hid in a basement. A woman took her in. Then, okay, that story would be over. Then I'd hear, your father got yellow fever. If they'd put him in a hospital, he would have died. His mother took him. She quarantined him at home. His skin was peeling off. And she sat there and she bathed him. If she had gone to the hospital, they would have killed him. The doctors would have killed him.
Oh, and you wonder where these thoughts come from. Then.
Then the next story would be, my mother, I was 9 years old. They came and told me she died. I don't know what happened. She went into the hospital. I think they might have killed her.
Well, that's exactly where it comes from. Hospitals kill you.
right.
Yeah.
So you're getting a medical procedure. They're probably going to kill you.
So the woman comes and you know, I can't even, this is how bad I am in therapy. I can't put, like my therapist like, can you tie this all together? I go, no. I can't tie it together. Like, I don't take those stories.
It's so how
No,
we're
no, no,
raised.
but
because you're too close
you're
to it.
looking. No. It's
No?
not that he's too close. He's now evaluating them as an adult.
Yes.
He's not thinking of a little kid.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Hearing these stories, and you can't get in touch with that child and
No.
and realize that he was terrified.
Yes. I don't want to think of myself as a little kid, even to go back in therapy.
Right,
and think,
right.
but,
That's too scary.
yeah, but I must have shit my pants because even as an adult now, I'm like, oh my God, they're going to come and take blood and kill me.
You
Well,
can see
that's
how
the little kid talking while you're not governing everything that's going on.
And I get completely crazy. And I used to suffer a lot from OCD, and I'd start touching things so that I wouldn't die.
Right.
Because I always think the world is going to come and kill me.
Well, that was your compensation way of dealing with it.
Yeah,
you know?
that's his defense mechanism.
And whenever something horrible happens, I go, you see?
I know you're a great UC person.
Yeah.
Everything. You never notice the things happening that are good.
Right, exactly.
That happen every day, 24 hours a day. But the one bad thing, you see?
He's like, he was like, air shows have been going on for 50 years.
Right.
The first accident last week is
So-
like, you see air
You
shows?
So
see?
who was the UC person in
My
your-
mother. My father.
It seems like your mom had a really big
My
influence.
father shipped me off to relatives. And then I had one pair of underwear. And I never had a doll.
It's hot.
I never had a toy. Now, I don't remember my childhood, but I remember my mother's childhood. I could quote my mother's entire life.
Well, because
You're
your
so
childhood was
focused on
listening to
her
your mother.
childhood.
Right.
Yeah,
I
we
don't,
see what your childhood
I don't
was.
remember having a childhood. I remember my mother and father's childhood.
But you see, you're afraid of hospitals. You can
We
see
were-
how people are raised, even how racist they're raised, because like some parents teach their kids like black people will kill you.
Yeah.
Well,
And
yeah,
then
it's
you're
an
afraid of black
indoctrination to a child that's like a sponge. They're
Right.
just soaking it in. They have no ability to say, that's a stupid thought, that's a good one. They just have to take it all.
Like my father would be like, if I could have had the advantages you have, I didn't have a shoe.
So it's like they were angry
Then
at
we
you
would- yeah, yeah. And
for
then-
being
and we
born
would-
when you were being born instead of being happy for you.
No, they were not happy.
I
for
didn't
me.
have a
They-
shoe.
And you would.
Not having a shoe would piss me
They
off.
kept
You
him
go
in
to school.
Roosevelt.
I couldn't even. My parents wanted me to drop out of school,
I
and
had-
you don't even go. You don't take it seriously. And I would have. I give you piano lessons. I would have killed someone for a piano lesson.
I had two left shoes. I walked around in a circle.
And then we had no food, and your grandfather. We would light fires in the street for heat, and then we had to move every month. We couldn't make the rent.
I
They
think
used to
that
call
We
that's
need to
why-
eat our own hair.
They used to call me Betty Circles.
I'm bald because I had to eat my own hair.
I made a meatloaf out of my hair.
The world just sounded so horrible.
Sometimes I would find some meat in my hair.
I think they kept you in
That was a good
Roosevelt
day.
in order to recreate the Depression for
I
you.
swear to
right.
God.
Yes, they were
Holy
trying to bring it
Jesus.
to you.
I don't know why they, but I am so afraid
You know
of the
what?
world. Like the first thing I hear, I have to have blood, and I go, well, the person's going to kill me with a dirty needle.
You know what you should do, Howard?
I mean,
Maybe
it's,
to
it's
just
like, and I have such, it's so horrible, and it tortures me
you
over
wanna-
and over.
The reality, and maybe your parents should do this too if they haven't already. Do you ever go to the Tenement Museum on the Lower East Side?
No, I don't
Oh,
need to
they
go.
don't need
I
to
grew
go
up in-
there.
No, I mean,
Artie,
I'll tell you.
Artie,
It is fascinatingly
Artie,
horrifying.
My life. You would think I grew up in the tenements.
Well-
because my father brought every detail to life, and if my father didn't do a good job, my mother would then sit there
Yeah.
and chant like a rabbi after school every day. Then I only had my sister, and when my sister died, I lost everything.
It was
And
almost
then-
like those recitation of prayers.
Yes.
Where they go through the stages of every part of their lives.
There was nothing
in a
good.
recitation.
There was nothing good in the family history. Then, when I wanted to marry your father, my father said no. He didn't want to release me from the house. He liked having a servant.
Oh dear, she was a servant.
And then your grandfather remarried, and finally I had a mother. But of course, that relationship ended, and I had no mother. I mean, you hear these horror stories. I'm like, oh my God, I want to
Everything
weep.
turns out
Right.
bad, no
Bad.
matter what.
Everything bad. And I'm like, oh, my poor mother. Like, I identify with my mother so much. You would think I lived my mother's life in her shoes. I want my children to know everything. But I want you to be fearless when you go out into the world.
Yeah. Even though it's good, everything's
And I'm
going to
like-
come crashing down around you.
There isn't a day I don't think Nazis are going to stormtroop through the house. You should hear it. The Grandma Rose had no one. All taken from her. And then your father's family came from Europe. In Europe, there were 4 children, 3 girls and a boy. They all died.
Well, it was just
They
like
came over, and then your grandparents started another family. Again, 3 girls and a boy. I'm like, they all died in Europe? Yes, they all died. And then my father would chime in and go, things like ear infection. We had no medicine. And I'm like, what? And all the kids died? That's right. And then your father got the yellow fever. He was quarantined in the house. If they'd sent him to the hospital, he would have been dead.
thank God they found each other.
That's right.
I'm like, oh
Two
my
people
God.
who could share the misery.
I got to tell you something. I live in a world filled with fear.
But you
would
know what?
think-
Yesterday, when you brought up you were talking about some charity thing for the Reeves Foundation.
Yes. And then
And
the
you-
Reeves found it.
And you started going, you went through this litany of nightmarish things that happened to him.
Horrible. Horrible.
As if nothing good ever happened. to
Nothing.
these two people.
Nothing. I don't see the good. All I know is I had to give blood, which was great, and this beautiful woman comes over today and does it, makes it convenient for me, and she's killing me. You know, in my mind.
Right. She
in my
came
mind.
early just to kill you.
Right, and she's such a lovely woman. Like
She's the angel of death.
You're right. All doctors are bad. Your father and I, look, we had hard lives, but I don't want you to live in fear. You know, like my parents have been all over the world to Europe and stuff. I will not travel
I know
overseas.
you won't go out of the country. You won't stick your toe in the Atlantic. That's too far out.
I am so afraid of the outside world. I'm such a xenophobe. I am telling you, I believe if I went to Germany, the Nazis would. My psychiatrist had to go to Germany. I go, why would you go there? Something bad's going to happen to you. He goes, holy shit.
Well, I'll tell you what. I went to Germany about 5-6 years ago, and there still aren't a ton of Jews there.
No. Nobody's feeling
there
like
aren't a
them.
ton of Jews anywhere.
Someone was telling. Well, like Mel Gibson's father said, they all went to the Bronx. I think in the whole country, some guy over there was telling me there's like only 30,000 Jews still, and that's like nothing in Germany. And
Right.
you're thinking like, what are they thinking? Why are they there?
Yeah, why didn't they leave?
Lots of opportunities.
I guess so.
But
That's the story all over Europe. We used to have Jews. Here was where they lived.
Right.
in each story.
Yeah,
like,
Poland,
I'm
too, I
brushing
guess.
over each story, I mean. And then your grandfather, he fought in World War I for the Austrians. But his sisters didn't want him to go in the army, so while he was sleeping, they put a pearl in his ear. And he went deaf in the ear. So I go, what?
His family did that so he wouldn't go to the army?
Right.
Oh, my God. And he fought for the Austrians.
Well, yeah, he lived in Austria.
That's what they did.
He was on the
Oh,
other
right.
You
side.
think he left here and went to fight for the Austrians?
Oh, that's
Right, yeah.
It's just weird to hear a Jew fighting for Austrians. And then,
Well, he couldn't fight. They put a pearl in his fucking ear. Had to take him out.
Lots of Jews fought for Germany.
yeah.
Then the yellow fever came. Your father was almost dead. His mother.
And she doesn't even know that. She's created a whole fantasy about that for you.
And then she'll go, yeah, oh, no. Then she didn't know anything.
Yeah.
Everything's unclear. It was like, and then your grandmother, she loved you so much. And she was taking a walk in the country with Grandpa, and a hit-and-run driver killed her. I go, what? What happened to Grandma?
Bent
She
over
was
to
taking
smell
a
a
nice
flower.
walk. The driver didn't even stop. No one cared. They were poor people. No one cared. Murdered. Killed. What? Now go to sleep. Get ready
That
for
was
school.
your bedtime.
La la la.
Car dragged her for 3
I'm going
miles.
to tell you about Grandma.
Here's a bedtime story.
We couldn't recognize the body.
You remember when? You know what's funny about these stories? Remember when Robin threw you the 50th birthday party?
Yeah.
The invitation was a picture of you as a kid.
Oh.
And
He looked frightened.
You're a cute kid, but you look like you just got told one of these stories.
You look frightened. Now that I'm thinking about it, that was a frightened expression on his face.
I am so afraid of everything and everyone. I can't tell you. Every time I even meet people, I go, oh, they want to hurt me. They want to kill. They want to do harm.
Well, what are you going to do about this?
And how can I turn to anyone for help?
Really, what are you going to do?
I'm in therapy.
Yes, but is it working? Come on, you're
Yeah,
still
look at
carrying
me.
on like this.
Are you kidding? I mean, are you kidding? You know, I go home and talk in that voice. I hear that voice every day in my head.
Mother?
Mother, do you think they'll drop the bomb?
Oh, yes, they will.
Yes, they will.
Of course
Oh,
they will.
they did.
They did. They dropped it on your
Don't
father.
ask,
He
don't
got the yellow
ask.
fever bomb.
Uncle Dave didn't stand a chance against the V2 rocket.
And then your Aunt Estelle, God rest her soul and love her, she took fertility drugs. Those doctors, they pumped her up with drugs and they killed her. They gave her cancer. There's no cancer in our family.
But
I
Howard,
go, what? The doctors did what? They don't know what they're doing.
Howard,
What?
they don't realize nothing has happened to them since their childhoods, that they've had a pretty
No.
uneventful life.
Oh, yeah, no, they're fine. I'm the one who's still living it.
That's because we're vigilant.
I'm not afraid
They're
of
not
anything.
fearful.
I don't fear. And listen, and I'm like, well, okay. I'm the one who's taking
You
on
took
all this.
all the fear.
I feel I grew up in the Depression. I feel like I had no mother. I
were
lost
in
my
the
mother at
Nazi
9.
war camps.
I was in a Nazi war camp. I'm telling these stories over and over and over again. The psychological effect on me, I guess I wasn't strong enough to take it or something. I'm a little
Strong
kid.
enough. You were a kid. You're not
I don't
supposed
know.
to be.
I cracked somewhere.
That's your other thing. Now you were supposed to be able to take it at 6 and 5 and 4.
Yeah.
You're crazy. No, what 4-year-old can fight off this?
Listen, when I was 4 years old, and then Grandpa took us to the movies, he'd take out a knife and get into knife fights. And I go, what? People attack you in the movie?
Butchered
He sounds
the
like a
popcorn
right.
girl.
He sounds like a fun guy.
He got angry and he would stab. And I don't know. Maybe he killed my mother. I don't know. I go, what?
They never found her.
I mean, I said, what?
But wait a minute, Howard. There's a central thing here. You have no sympathy for that child.
None. Zero. He's a wimp.
Deal with it.
That's why you can't.
I'm
You
ashamed.
can't get over it.
Yeah, I'm ashamed of that
You
child.
won't even acknowledge that
No.
it was a 4-year-old, and he shouldn't have been able. He shouldn't have had to go through this. Number one.
I'm ashamed of feeling like a 4-year-old. That's why I have a hard time in therapy.
Oh, you're a mess.
I'm a mess. I told you I'm a mess. You don't believe it.
It's. Would you do this to your 4-year-old?
Absolutely not, my children. I never did any of that.
Then why would you think that you, as a 4-year-old, should have endured it and been able to handle it?
I don't know. Listen.
And you have to reclaim that child and love that child and accept
And who
that child.
told you that? One of your fancy doctors,
Let me
Robin?
tell you about Robin. Let me tell you about psychiatrists.
Fuck that child.
They don't know a thing. Dwelling in the past is no good. Meanwhile, who dwelled in the past?
If she did.
Right.
If they
Dwelling
knew.
in the past, all things, this is that, and you've got to get on with your life. I went to a psychiatrist one time.
She did?
That's right. And believe you me, they know nothing.
He tried to kill me. He pulled out a knife.
Don't ask.
Oh, my God.
I'm leaving out half the shit.
Yeah, but my point is,
Don't leave out
forget
anything.
the shit. You have to say, look, I was 4 years old. I wasn't supposed to have to go through that.
I guess, but all I know is I am so afraid of everything. That's why even anything I have.
But you can't get over your fears until you acknowledge that you were traumatized.
Yeah, I can't acknowledge. I don't believe it.
What?
I don't believe it. Anything I'm telling you now is a joke. Like to me is a joke.
Right,
It's like
you
I
No,
can't- I
it's
can't
to
treat
you.
it-
It's a joke.
Yeah, I can't treat it
That has
seriously.
been your defense mechanism.
Yes, that's right.
And you don't want to. You're so terrified you can't even face how
Right.
terrified you
That's
are.
exactly
you
right.
can't get to that real feeling.
Right, I'm afraid to.
Yeah.
You know what?
Because if my
Because then
psychiatrist
what?
says,
Your psychiatrist and everybody else would know you're a scared little boy
Yeah.
and you're vulnerable, and then they'll take advantage of you.
yes. And then my psychiatrist says, so what are you afraid of? What would be so terrible if you... I go, I don't fucking know. Leave me alone. My fucking head's going to explode from...
Is the hour up?
I'm paying you to fix me. You're a shitty psychiatrist.
You know what? You
careful.
came out fine from all this. You know who really paid for all that bullshit is John DeBella, Ivan.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
You bet.
I mean, you took it all out on other people who
You
were in your
bet.
way or who you perceive were in your way, and that's you're doing okay.
I have
No,
tremendous...
Those guys should be
but-
bitching
I
to your
have
mother.
tremendous
But
anger.
he's also curtailed his life because of his fears,
Yes,
Artie.
I have.
That's what you forget.
Yeah.
He's lived a less full life
Artie,
because he keeps himself in a box.
Robin is 100% right. I mean, when
but
I...
okay,
no,
it's all in
Robin is right.
perspective.
No,
Here's
but
a
wait.
guy
Hold
who's
it.
been
here
No.
we go.
Robin is
to
100%
Anguilla,
right.
every hot island.
You're not
every
listening.
little-
Robin is 100% right. Even when I go somewhere now, I sit there and
You
I
can't
have,
fully enjoy
I have a
it.
horrible time.
That I've
And
witnessed.
he
I need
won't
to be
leave the
home.
resort. He
Right.
gets to a place and he stays there.
I won't even talk to those
That
guys.
I witnessed in Tampa.
I don't even. I don't want to go
extraordinary.
anywhere. And you want to know something? I'll
And when
tell
we
you-
got on the wet bikes, you kept saying to me, "What are you doing on a wet bike?"
what sums it up is, and this
You're
is the
gonna die.
truth. When I was starting on a radio and I got my job in Detroit, I told this to my psychiatrist. I realize now, I had no experiences in Detroit. I would get to the hotel. I'd sit in the room all day. I didn't know what but I could have gone out, maybe gone for a dinner. I sat in my room. I would leave the room. They had a downstairs fast food place. I'd grab the food and bring it back up to my room, and I'd sit there and wait for the next radio show, just staring. I don't know what he did.
And
in
it
the
was
room.
for a year you did this?
No, for a couple of months.
Because according to Private Parts, that was a time when you and Allison were separated for a little while?
No, we were separated because she was finishing up her job in Hartford.
right,
Yeah, she
That was
eventually joined him.
So you were alone for a couple of months?
Being alone, I couldn't bear to be alone, and I would just sit there and wait. And I didn't even know I couldn't bear to be alone. I would just sit there and wait, and then the radio show would come on. I'd do the radio show. I'd go back to my hotel room and sit there and wait for the next show. The weekend, I would sit in my room.
Like most people who were in Detroit for a while, you go, hey, what's a fun bar around there? What's a good thing? You
I would never go to a bar. Means
He's
you're going to
never
die.
been there.
Right,
Yeah.
There was a
I know,
place-
but I'm saying most people would know
and
a few places.
And the radio station and the hotel were in a straight line. You couldn't get lost. And then there was a restaurant on the way there. And one morning I said, I'm going to stop in for a bagel. And I went in and I thought everyone was going to kill me. It looked dangerous to me to be
Right,
somewhere.
even Richard Christie can choose a Chinese restaurant.
Right, well,
Howard can't do that.
it's
And
my
I was in
favorite.
gripped in terror. And I would never think to go, ooh, I could go to a bar, have a drink. Maybe I'd say hello to some people.
You never thought about going out? Let me go to a Tiger
No.
game. You know,
Even
like,
at the radio
nothing like that.
station,
Nothing
you could
social.
say to somebody, hey, let's have
No,
dinner.
people
or
would
let's-
invite me. I would not go. I didn't know how to get there. I just didn't want the trouble.
And he doesn't know how to get anywhere
No.
because of
I
it.
kept myself locked in a room. And I
Even
tell you-
here, he doesn't know how to get
Well, I know.
anywhere.
Yeah, you say all the time, and I marvel at that you couldn't walk from here to your apartment. You know,
I can't do it.
that's
It's
unbelievable.
very hard for me. I tell you, I think the world is the most evil, frightening place, and that there's nothing good in it. And if you get something good, it'll be taken away from you at any moment.
Even when he chose his apartment, it was because, well, he was already working out in the area. He knew it. He couldn't look at other sections of the city.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people who would just deal with
that.
that. A lot of people would have that and just, become nothing. I mean, you actually made
I don't know where
a
I got-
life where you have enough
Well, he
to
brought-
accommodate how you are.
Yeah, but
He basically brought everything into his little box.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, that's true. And I never had the. I don't know where I got the courage to do the kind of career I had.
Well, like an example on a much smaller level is like when I moved to California, I realized how much I hated doing laundry, and I said, no matter what, I'm going to make enough money for the rest of my life to where I never have to do another fucking load of laundry. I'm going to afford, you know what I mean? I'm going to afford a gardener and someone to do my laundry. And on a higher level, you've gotten away. You've made enough to where you don't have to know where the fuck you are. Think about that.
Yeah, but
like,
it's
you've
like-
made it
it's
easy
living-
for
it's living
yourself.
like a
But
child,
he
and it doesn't
does
make me happy.
have a great deal of trouble because everything has to be done. You keep forgetting that everything has to be done for him.
Right. But he has the means to do that.
It'd be one thing if that was a choice. He doesn't have a choice.
I don't have a choice.
Well,
I'm dependent on others.
see, there's a lot of people like you who aren't capable of functioning because they don't have a talent or they don't have that
There's
drive.
plenty of people like Howard. Every major star is Howard.
Right.
Thank you.
You know, Tom
Thank
Cruise
you for calling me a
can't
major
do
star.
anything for himself, and Michael Douglas can't do anything
Well,
for
Michael
himself.
Douglas grew up not
I
having
disagree
to
with
do
that. Michael
anything.
But
Douglas
my
can
point-
do something for himself.
No, he can't do anything.
all right.
Bang Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Gary, you're on the air in White Plains, New York.
Oh, Howard can do that too. They go and get women.
Oh, I can bang. That I somehow figured out how
They
to do.
do get women.
Hey now, Gary. Yeah, but I'm not a fun guy to be with.
From a childhood delusionary psychosis.
What?
What? What, Gary?
This is a form of child abuse.
I don't know what he's saying.
I don't know if he's cutting out or we're getting
You
the whole
suffered
thing.
child abuse, he thinks. He said it's a form of child abuse.
But he was saying a whole bunch of stuff. I think we're losing.
Childhood delusionary psychosis.
Childhood. What are you, a psychiatrist?
No.
What are you?
No, but I did say
Another
it,
armchair quarterback.
I'm a jerk.
I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express. But,
Childhood delusionary psychosis.
yeah, it's a form of child abuse.
Child abuse. My
Your parents were torturing you as a child.
That's the most politically correct now
Well,
thing
it wasn't
to
an
say.
intentional
It was-
torture.
They weren't torturers. They just telling me their life story over and over again. They didn't know what the
Look, and it's easy to fall into that trap. Every time I do like an interview or a therapy session, they ask me about my father, and a half an hour into it, I realize I'm bitching. I'm just bitching about my life, and I dread doing that to my kids. You know, I dread if I ever have a kid, just bitching about everything that
Well,
was
you know
fucked
what?
up to them.
Well,
You know
that's
what?
why you want to try to handle it so you don't, it
Right.
doesn't spill over.
You know what it is, Gary, though? In a way, my parents, well, especially my mom, didn't have parents. So I became the parent so that she would tell these things to.
Actually, it wasn't a parent necessarily, but a confidant.
A confidant. I became
Somebody
her confidant.
You weren't
yeah.
that
You were
they
treated
could
like a
share
kid.
their thoughts
Yeah.
with without fear of reprisal.
Yeah,
Don't
I heard the entire horrible story.
Yeah,
over and over
everything
again.
she couldn't say to anybody else, she said to
Right.
you.
Yeah, so I really identify heavily with my mother and understand her pains. I understand exactly what scares her, and I've become sort of. I feel like her childhood is the
See,
childhood I
the
lived.
difference between me and you, my mother used me for that too, and I resented it.
Yeah, that's healthy.
I thought, I'm a kid. I don't need to hear all this.
Wow.
good.
See, realizing that at that age is impressive. But what Elsa taught you to do is you don't find confidants like that at a bar or at a game. They're all all the people around you, your family. It's like you don't go find a friend and bitch about it.
But actually, I always thought it was such a privilege that this woman in my life, my mother, would share with me all of her intimate secrets.
But at the same time, you were burdened.
Yes. But I didn't know, I thought that,
you sort of ignored that. That was your compensation. Well, I am privileged because she considers me that important.
even the relationships I have with women now, the more they give me their problems and they tell me like their intimate, dark thoughts,
right.
that to me feels like love.
Oh, okay.
And
Well, I mean, in a way.
so
I mean-
if I see a woman who is completely fucked up,
Right.
I'm like turned on, like you wouldn't believe, like has horror stories.
And she
'cause
shares those with
she shares
you.
it. I want to straighten her out and
Yeah.
everything. I want to take over because that's my role. And
That's hot.
I'd say Beth, in my relationship now, doesn't have those issues.
Right.
And sometimes I think, like, why is she not burdening me? Why is she not telling
Or
me?
she's keeping something from me. She's
Yeah.
not telling me
She's
the
keeping me all her-
really good stuff.
She's keeping all her horror stories from me. Why is
Does
she
that
doing
aggravate you? Do you want to be needed like that by somebody?
Oh,
you
that's my
desperately
heroin.
need to be
You know how
needed.
you love heroin?
Right.
That's what I love.
So-
I love it.
Yeah.
But
Well, it
and
makes
I
you
hate
feel
it.
important. It makes you
Yeah.
feel like you're really important to that
and
person.
needed. You're needed because that's what you've got their secrets.
Well, let me ask you this because you never do your parents tell these stories of horror to your kids? Do they ever
No.
sit them down?
No.
Right?
No,
They don't have any experiences like that.
No.
Now, Howard was a really good listener. They're done.
No,
Howard was privileged.
I was the chosen one.
And did you ever tell it to your kids?
Do you
I've
think
told
they
my
told
kids
your
this story.
sister?
I don't think that much. No,
Yeah.
I don't. I don't know if my mother and my sister have the same relationship I have with my mother.
So it wasn't the two of you sitting there. It was just you.
No, only me. I am the chosen one. I am the keeper of the gate. But I really am a scared motherfucker. I mean, I think everyone in the world is going to kill me.
Well, I'll have to tell you, after 9/11,
Yeah. A lot
I
of
turned
people-
around, I looked in this room, and I said, I'm surrounded by cowards. I got to get out of here.
Why? We all stayed.
You haven't done a thing since.
Oh, that's true. I haven't even flown to California since 9/11.
I know he hasn't been anywhere for business. They have to all come here.
Absolutely. You're damn right.